Hi, I'm going to show you how to make a grandma's Christmas stocking using the flower pot method. I have the front of my stocking. It's been completely embellished and ready to go. I've already pinned the cuff to the front, and there's a cross on the cuff that shows the kiddos that God loves them. The back of the stocking, I've pinned the hanger to the back, the heel side of the back of the stocking, about 1 inch from the seam. A label that says "Made with Love by Grandma." With right sides together, so be sure to pin the edges of the cuff back so that it won't be caught in the seam. And right sides together, I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around the stocking and leaving the top open. Now I've sewn the front and the back of the stocking together, right sides together. I'm going to do the same thing to the lining. But on the back side of the stocking, on the side of the heel, I've pinned about a 6-inch opening to remind me not to sew there, because that's where I need to put my hand to turn the stocking right side out once it's finished. And I'm using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Whatever seam allowance you use on the front and back of the stocking, you use the same seam allowance on the lining. Now I've sewn around the stocking lining, and before we proceed, we need to clip the curves. Just be sure not to clip into the seam line. Okay, now that I've clipped all the curves, I'm going to pull the stocking right side out. You can also do the reverse. You could pull the lining right side out, but as long as the right side of the stocking and the lining are together. And then we'll sew around the top. Here's the right side of the stocking, and the lining is still inside out. So I'm going to push the stocking right sides down into the lining, right sides together, and sew around the top. Make sure that the cuff and the hanger get pushed down between the lining and the stocking. And with the seams together, it's probably a good idea to pin around the top. Okay, I've pinned the front and the back of the stocking together with the lining and the right sides together. And I'm going to use a 3/8 inch seam. I usually like to start at the seam line on the side, because that's where when I come around, it'll meet there again. Okay, now I've sewn the front and the lining, the stocking and the lining together. And I'm going to reach into the side opening that I left and turn the lining right side out and pull out the stocking. And I'm going to sew up the opening in the lining. Now I've sewn the lining opening closed, and I'm going to push the lining down into the stocking. I'm going to push out the heel and the toe, and I'm going to press it from the back side because I don't want to melt the embellishments. Then you have another Christmas stocking by Grandma.
Some of the supplies that you need for making a Christmas stocking can be obtained from the Grandma Stocking Guild when attending a workshop. Dates and times are listed on the website. Also, directions for making the stockings can be found there.